Research shows that 69% of 11 and 12-year-olds have a cell phone bought by their parents, and 76% of teens use social media. Dr. Leonard Sax argues that too many parents let their kids run the show these days. He has been a family doctor for more than 2 decades. His new book is called The Collapse of Parenting. He says the old command, no dessert until you eat your broccoli, has turned into a plea. How about if you eat 3 bites of broccoli, then you can have dessert? Dr. Sax, good morning.
Good morning.
Guilty on that last one, by the way. We have a 6-year-old and a 6-month-old. We talk about all of this stuff every day. You think parenting has changed for the worse. Why?
Well, sure. As you pointed out, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, parents would say no dessert until you eat your broccoli. But now it's a question. How about if you try 3 bites? In a previous generation, parents would say, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. Now parents ask the question, well, how would you feel if someone did that to you? And they don't have an answer when the kid says, I'd kick him in the nuts and then I'd sit on his face.
because you think we're trying to treat kids like adults and not like kids.
Well, I think in a certain way you need to expect kids to behave like adults, but you should not give them the authority of an adult. So the question of what school to attend for parents who choose a school, they now chauffeur their kids around a couple different schools and the kid makes the choice. Or at another school I was at, they were trying to enforce this policy of no cell phones in the classroom, and the parents were pushing back. And one parent said, look, I got to be able to text my daughter and ask her what she wants for supper. And the principal's like, hey, you're the parent. You can decide what's for supper. But a lot of parents feel like, no, I've given that authority to my child.
And in your book, you say this isn't just about a dynamic within the family. It's actually a cultural issue. You say there's role confusion and that authority overall has been undermined.
That's right. In a previous generation, 50 years ago, for example, most Americans trusted the president. Most Americans trusted the school. Today, the majority of Americans don't think you can trust government. And when a kid gets in trouble at the school, the parents swoop in like attorneys to mount a defense. And the result is that the authority of the parents are undermined, and they give kids the authority that parents should have.
But times change, don't they? I mean, the issues we're dealing with in 1900 are different than what they are in 1950 and 2015.
And I'm not suggesting 50 years ago were the good old days. They weren't. Every era has its challenges. But I don't think we're recognizing ours. There's been an explosion in the proportion of kids on medication in this country. Kids need authority. And when parents step back from authority, what's happened in many cases is the doctor steps in. And instead of parents setting clear rules of right and wrong, now you got this kid running around throwing things, and he's put on medication. So American kids are now 90 times more likely to be on medication for behavior compared to kids in Italy, for example.
But when you look at what's happening in this country, I mean, how much of it is just the patterns of parenting changing? I mean, older parents who are exhausted, parents who don't want to have the argument over whether they eat their broccoli or not because they've just, both been exhausted from a full day's work.
And parents are confused, and they want their kids to like them. They want their kids to love them, and they think that if they are authoritative parents, then their kids won't like them. But your job as a parent is to teach right and wrong, to keep your kids safe. And if you're doing your job, your kids may not like you. As one kid said to a parent I know, the kid said, I hate you. You're going to totally ruin my whole life. And mom responded, well, sometimes I'm not so fond of you either. But it's my job to keep you safe, and so you're not going to be doing this.
You're a parent first and a friend second.
Parent first and a friend second.
Dr. Leonard Sax, thank you. The Collapse of Parenting goes on sale tomorrow.